Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, we'll try to understand how Douglas Luiz could possibly play from the first minute against Genoa, what Thiago Motta, Collinet, Hugo were working on this week to have him from the first minute against Genoa, because we know it is important to have him on the field. Not because I was totally obsessed with his transfer, because I really sponsored him, but because his presence on the field could possibly help our midfielders, and by consequence also Dusan Vlahovic, to be a bit more dangerous in front of the goal. By consequence, being more dangerous, more opportunities to go on target, more opportunities to score, more opportunities to win a game, which we need to do in Serie A against Genoa on Saturday, 6 p.m. Italian time again. Also, the big words of Manu Locatelli, double-page interview today on Tuttosport, where he said, "Scudetto, Juventus is not hiding. Juventus is not hiding. We are there." So all of this in today's video. I'm asking you kindly to put a maximum of like. You know it. It costs you absolutely zero. And it's helping me a lot to reach the next targets. Like, for example, a bigger community. 33,800. A few days ago, we lost a few. I don't know. Maybe YouTube was not working. Maybe some Juventini, they decided to leave. We need to go back 33,800. And then the next objective, that is 34. Because we are, like Juventus, always targeting the first spot, also here on YouTube. Now that we did the basic, let's not speak about the first men team, not the other teams. We focus on first, slightly, about Juventus women, that today is playing an important game, probably the most important game of the season. Why? Because it's the return game in Champions League. We played last week against PSG. It's a playoff, it's home and away to qualify to the round stages, to qualify in that group stages of Champions League. Last year, exactly the same, because when you're second in Italy in the ranking, you are obliged, you are not qualified immediately to go through these really difficult playoffs. It was a bit easier last year and we totally flopped. We didn't qualify. A season without Champions League for our women. This season, we had the most difficult team on paper, Paris Saint-Germain. We did an exploit. We did a miracle, winning in our home 3-1. Today, we have the return game. It's not a game that is won immediately. It will be extremely tough. So, good luck to our women, really, seriously. If you want to see them, if you want to follow them, you can go or on Juventus.com or on YouTube, where the game will be broadcasted totally for free. And also today, there will be Juventus Next Gen, the team of Montero, that is playing against the second one in the league. And then this week we play against Benevento, that is at the moment first in the third division league. So two extremely difficult games for our boys that will play today at 6:30 p.m. Italian time. We will follow both of the games and we will report you, of course, what they did here on the channel, hopefully, really hopefully, with our women in the group stages of Champions League. Now that we went through that, let's open the first pages. Let's go and focus on our first team men. Corriere dello Sport, Juve, rilancio in rosso. Big title, Dusan Vlahovic, that is sad. They are speaking about the fact that Juventus in the semester is losing 176 million euro. Look, I wanted to go through it, but really slightly, because looks like it's a disaster, looks like it's a big surprise, looks like they are giving us a breaking news. Absolutely not, because they are writing, pay attention, because now they will need to cut even more in the salary mass, they will need to probably sell some players, etc., etc. It's really important now, the contract extension or not, the discussion, the negotiation with Dusan Vlahovic, because he's earning 23 million euro gross, which means 12 million euro net. Ragazzi, these things were forecasted. We already spoke about it here on the channel. I'm absolutely not surprised. It's not beautiful. It's not good looking. But we know, we are aware about it. So, no. These big titles like it's a breaking news, absolutely not. So, when you will read it, don't panic. It was already calculated. Of course, Juventus will need to do better. That's also why in the next transfer market windows, don't expect Holland, like we saw Osimhen plus, what is the other guy? Jonathan David, Osimhen. We are also speaking about Sesko from Leipzig, I believe. I will play against him, by the way. Calma. We'll continue to do transfer market, but pay attention that sustainability is always the key word at Juventus. So let's speak about Scudetto, about Manuel Locatelli. First of all, let me say that I'm extremely proud of the beginning of the season of Manu Locatelli, which is the most important thing. When we have players that are able to perform, nobody can say that he played bad. I think that he missed maybe 60 minutes of one game where he didn't play that well. It was against Roma, except of that 5 really great games of Manu Locatelli. I'm super happy because I always supported him. I never gave up on Manu Locatelli. You know it. It's one of my pupillo, one of my guys that I really like, that I really want to see doing well. That doesn't mean that I can't be objective. Last season was not a good season for Manu Locatelli. When we made the tier list, he was there at the bottom somewhere. Not a great season for Manu Locatelli. Now I think that a lot of times a lot of people were in parts of the season harsh on him, expecting things that were not realistic, but we see a Manu Locatelli that is doing well. So I was really, really happy for that, and of course, it's only 6 games that we are speaking about. We have an entire season to speak about, so every time when we will judge players, we'll analyze the moment, but also what they are doing. Manu is really aware of it. He already said last season, I needed to check myself what I needed to do better. I made mistakes. I was probably not performing at the best that I could, and I want to change these kind of things. And we see them on the field, so I'm super happy. Then he spoke about a few topics. I have to say that big title of Tuttosport is a bit misleading. Scudetto, Juve non si nasconde. Scudetto, what about the Scudetto? Juventus is not hiding. Well, you think that the double-page interview will be about the Scudetto, about the strength of Juve, etc., etc., the interview was really beautiful, but it was going towards the Manu Locatelli that I personally know, because you know that I had the chance to interview him, to spend 45 minutes with him in front of cameras, a bit more off camera before starting the live. It's a really human person that spoke about his son, his life as a father, his youth academy, about his parents, how they educated him, how they started to follow his football career when he was with youngsters. He spoke about Brocchi, the one ex-Milan player that was his youth coach, that gave him a chance, that believed in him in the youth academy, but also in the first team, because he made sure that he made his official debut with Milan in Serie A first team. Also his dreams as a kid, as a Juventino, starting to be doing well with Milan, to have that hope to one day play at Juventus. He spoke about the fact that he's crazy about football, watching all the games, even Serie B games, if you have the opportunity, following players, his love for Toni Kroos, but also his idols, Pavel Nedved, Alessandro Del Piero, etc., etc. It was a really human interview, really well done by Marco Bo on Tuttosport, but the title is a bit misleading. What did he say about the Scudetto? That Inter is the favorite. There are other beautiful teams like Napoli, like Milan, but Juventus is there, and we don't want to hide. We are there. Then Champions League is a total different competition with a lot of players that has not a lot of experience, even no experience in Champions League, so it can't be an obsession. It can't be lived only with tension, with fear, with it's the first time. Calma, enjoy the moment. So beautiful words from him. Spoke about the personality, the character of Motta, that he said from the beginning. You really see that it's a person that is really, how can I say, with a strong personality, and that's really important to be in a club like Juventus. He really liked that. The change of game also, much more ball possession, much more involved. He's touching much more balls. So a lot of these kind of things, of course. Torino, congratulations to them, but hopefully they will not stay that long. So a bit what I was telling you the last few days. Congratulations, bravo for Tuttosport that was speaking about them in the beginning of their page, but let's not exaggerate. Not too long, please, not too long. Spoke about De Zerbi, the most crazy coach that he ever had because of his personality, but also praising Max Allegri. So a lot of beautiful things in that interview. Again, that misleading title a bit. It is what it is. Now that we close that chapter about Juventus women, next gen, Manu Locatelli, let's go towards first team Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz is a guy that we took from Premier League after a fantastic season at Aston Villa. I spoke with some of the Villains fans that were all really sad that he left the club, especially because if we are looking then, Barrenechea went on loan to Spain. Ealing Jr. went on loan to Bologna. Of course, they didn't really win, but they were obliged to do it also financially for respecting the fair play of Premier League, whatever. Anyway, at the moment, after 6 games, it's not that we saw Douglas Luiz making the difference at Juventus Football Club. Also, him had some difficulties. Thiago worked a lot on him recently during that international break. Also worked on him a lot now during this week to prepare the game against Genoa, and you really want to make him start. Then it's not an obligation, it's not a promise, but they are working towards making him start. What is one of the first problems of why he didn't play? You remember when we saw these heat maps, what do we see at the moment? That our mezzala, our midfielders, a lot of time they go actually towards the wings, reinforcing the wings, actually making sure there is not too much density there in the middle, so that we have much more spaces there when we have the opportunity, when we are in ball possession, to play vertical. Going with the midfielder and the winger on the left, midfielder, winger on the right side to actually receive that ball, and doing these 1-on or 2-against-1 against the fullbacks of the opponent team. But at the moment, it's not really working. So what can be the problem of a Douglas Luiz? That if he is in that kind of position, it's not the ball possession that is a problem, but it's the non-ball possession that starts to be a problem for our Brazilian player. Because you know it, you need to track back, you need to be strong, you need to have an optimal physical condition to be able to take 60, 75, 90 million on the field, being there and recuperating, also covering and going back to your initial position, the one that is written on paper. And that's probably why at the moment Douglas Luiz was not there. But of course, we are not scoring. So we need to find something else, and Douglas Luiz is one of the men that we were thinking, and I believe also Giuntoli, Thiago Motta, that really wanted him to have there to increase also our offensive part, and maybe also to unlock, because at the moment after 3-0-0 we need to go back to score. Vlahovic, arriva l'aiuto. In Gazzetta dello Sport, you're speaking about Vlahovic. The support is arriving. The one of Yildiz and Koopmeiners. You will tell me, Beppe, Yildiz, Koopmeiners. But you're speaking about Douglas Luiz. Yildiz, Koopmeiners. Where is Douglas Luiz? Wait, I come. First of all, let me just say that it was really funny today because you have a big title on Gazzetta dello Sport with Ha vinto San Siro. San Siro won. Looks like it's again a really beautiful win for Inter and for Milan. Beautiful. Ha vinto San Siro. San Siro. Actually, it's really a bad news because it's San Siro that won, but not San Siro owned by the club, or not because it will become owned by one of these clubs, or both of them, you know, joint like Genoa or Sampdoria that are working to make a proposal for the Luigi Ferraris. No, it's because at the moment, well, they will do nothing. It will remain like it is today. So it is a disaster. They also lost the possibility to host the Champions League in 2027. It is what it is. Disaster. You know, from a bad news, how to reformulate it to have a good news. But anyway, let's go back to Dusan Vlahovic, to Douglas Luiz, to Yildiz, and to Koopmeiners. Look, they are making us here a page on Gazzetta dello Sport where Vlahovic, ti faccio segnare così, I will make you score like that. Actually speaking about the fact that Dusan Vlahovic is really isolated at Juventus and actually trying to put Yildiz and Koopmeiners closer to him. You remember that heat map that I showed you of Juventus Napoli, where we clearly saw, we identified it before Gazzetta dello Sport that was speaking about it to us, that red zone here with Dusan Vlahovic extremely isolated there, because Koopmeiners, as I told you, closer to Yildiz, McKennie closer to Nico Gonzalez, actually leaving there Vlahovic alone with Locatelli that was a bit behind there to pay attention for these movements, with Cambiaso, the one that was leaving his left back. You see, that position, that's where we need to change. And I will show you in a few steps. I'm already putting you possible names that could possibly start against Genoa. So you see the first movements are that Cambiaso doesn't need to track again immediately in that middle, but staying a bit more wider, what we saw against PSV. That's the first movement, with Douglas Luiz that could play a bit more closer to Locatelli, a bit more in that midfield, so that we have a bit of density. We are not obliged to have one more man with Cambiaso, but actually it will be Douglas Luiz that does that movement, so that Yildiz is able, because of that position, because of Cambiaso wider, to go closer to Vlahovic. Vlahovic, by consequence, a bit more higher on the pitch. And then another movement is Koopmeiners closer also to Dusan Vlahovic. So with this movement of Cambiaso a bit more on the left, Douglas Luiz, new instead of Koopmeiners there, that comes a bit more back on the field. Koopmeiners have the possibility to be a bit more up and a bit more on the right side. Could be a solution if Nico Gonzalez is not playing. We see way on the right with Gatti and Kalulu that tracks back a bit more centrally. For what reason? Because we know that when we are in possession, we love to be with 3 men. Bremer, Gatti, Kalulu, or Bremer, Gatti, Savona, whatever. 3 center backs that are there, with Wea that will be the one that will be a bit more on the right wing. Because, you know it, we try to also have really using the field really with. At the moment, it's always Yildiz that did it, because Cambiaso was central. Maybe shifting that, asking to Wea to be a bit more wider, to take also his possibility to cross. That could be one of the possibilities of having Douglas Luiz more involved into the game, not obliged to do what Koopmeiners and Yildiz are doing, means going wide and then tracking back when we lose the possession, but actually having that central position there where even if he miss a ball, even if the ball is lost by someone else, he doesn't need to do all these meters to come back, but he's already in that position, involved together with Locatelli to have this ball. Then, of course, we can also imagine a Kefren Thuram with possibility to start the game, but that could be possibly a solution. Now, we are always speaking about Dusan Vlahovic not scoring. Dusan Vlahovic, it's not only Dusan that needs to score, especially in Serie A. Koopmeiners didn't score, Yildiz didn't score, but also our midfielder. The only one that scored a goal, it was in Champions League, is Weston McKennie, but 0 goals for Locatelli, 0 goals for Fagioli. Douglas Luiz, no. Thuram, no. He scored a fantastic one in a friendly, Thuram, but it doesn't count as an official goal. So also them needs to improve and give their contribution. And one of the beautiful news, first of all, Savona, that trained 100% with the team, so he's totally recuperated also for Genoa. But it is Conceição that is sprinting. As I already told you, Leipzig, he will be there, but even maybe already against Genoa on the bench. Will we see a lot of Conceição against Genoa? No, but having him there is a lethal weapon, especially for that unpredictability, and also another choice, because we know it, with him there, you can unlock Wea again for some part of the game as a number 9, or Nico Gonzalez as a number 9, or even what is happening at the moment, what they are speaking about, that Kenan Yildiz has been tested in that position of falso 9 or a real number 9. That's also a possibility if Dusan is really not improving, if there is a problem, if mentally is down, if he needs a bit more rest, we need some solutions. And that's also one of the possibilities, things that has been tested during this week. Kenan Yildiz there up front. Ragazzi, that was it for me, for my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Tactical video, Manu Locatelli, the Scudetto, the women that we need to support this evening. Grazie, forza, Juve.